Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today we are doing a little ranking list because today is the day where I rank all 21 of the Studio Ghibli movies. With a studio as well renowned as Ghibli, it is safe to say that there are a lot of films in this list and a lot of different orders that you could put these films into. So just know that out of the 21 films on this list, everything from 15 upwards to myself I consider to be top tier animated movies. So while some films you may see you don't expect to be quite so low, just know I actually do really enjoy these movies. It's just Ghibli is so consistent with what they put out. It is honestly very difficult to rank these in order. These are very much my picks. They are based on how I felt watching these, what they meant to me while I watched them. So there'll be some surprises higher up, some surprises lower down, and some that you should quite rightly expect. But feel free to let me know how wrong I am down in the comments below, but just don't be an a-hole about it, I would say. If you aren't subscribed already before we get into this, then consider doing that today and dropping a like on the video. Let me know, is there any old animated films you would like to see me take a look at? I do love going back and looking at some of the films I saw as a child and bringing them back to the YouTube limelight. So let's jump into this list of every single Studio Ghibli film ranked. Coming in at the very bottom is Tales from Earthsea. This basically was the only Studio Ghibli film for a number of years that was rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and quite frankly, I was quite saddened that this is just as bad as a lot of people and critics have said. It looks pretty, like a lot of Ghibli films do, but it really wastes a high fantasy concept. It is hard to follow exactly what the overriding plot or story of the movie is. Every single character is not memorable. I'm just wondering how the hell they took a high fantasy setting and basically made it boring despite having dragons and wizards in it. It should be tailor-made for someone like me who loves a bit of high fantasy, but it just really didn't do it for me. Honestly, I think it's safe to say after his 3 attempts that Goro Miyazaki is not his father and isn't up to scratch for Ghibli. I'm sure he's a nice guy in person, but all the Ghibli films that he has directed haven't done it for me. And after 3 attempts, I feel like he needs to do other things. Earwig and the Witch is the most recent of the Ghibli movies. The only reason this ranks higher than Tales from Earthsea, because this is actually the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes, is purely for the fact that I did love the lead protagonist Aya. She is quite entertaining, but again, there was something very uninspiring about the way it was animated. It was their first 3D animated film, and they really dropped the ball with it. I could have forgave it because at some points it does become quite unnoticeable, the animation, but the fact that this film sets up a number of key plot threads and doesn't actually follow through with any of them, and physically ends at a point where you feel like it's just starting on the 3rd act, that is a big problem for any movie, not just Ghibli. And unfortunately, after 7 years of waiting for a lot of Ghibli fans, this is quite a disappointment in many ways. I am quite glad that I got through all the Ghibli films in the last 12 months, so I didn't have to wait 7 years for this disappointment. Porco Rosso was an interesting one for me. It was one of those that everyone talks about, but for me, it was definitely towards the lower end of the Ghibli works. It's effectively an endless joke of how pigs can fly, and Ghibli took that concept and put a pig in a plane. It does have some good dogfight sequences, but it is again one of those films where plots are established and intriguing plot threads are referenced, but they are never followed through with. It's built up to this massive dogfight at the end, which ends up not even ending as a dogfight, and it ends quite open-ended, which really didn't do it for me. And it's again one of the romances that I just really couldn't buy from Studio Ghibli. My Neighbors the Yamadas is next, and this is a film that isn't really a film. It's a bunch of short stories about the Yamada family in a very basic art style that is cute, but it isn't to the level that a lot of Ghibli films are. It does have some great messages about patience and just family life in general. There are some genuinely funny moments. I think one of my favourite scenes in this film is when the mum and dad are arguing over what's on TV and they're having this little standoff. It's a great little scene to watch, but it's one of those films that you could literally tune out and tune back in over and over again, and you won't have missed much because it's just short story after short story, and it doesn't really add up to a feature-length film, at least in my eyes. The Cat Returns is a very interesting one. A young woman rescues a cat prince, and because of that rescue, she is aggressively pursued by the cat army. It is quite a bonkers movie. It's a fun, innocent one, but it's definitely the most fantasy out of a number of these Ghibli films. It's only got a connection to the Baron from Whisper of the Heart. It's like a pseudo sequel, but not really. It's basically the Baron's world in the story that the lead character of Whisper of the Heart is trying to tell. And in this film, it's fun, it's somewhat enjoyable, but you're also just questioning the ethics of these cats constantly, and it doesn't really give any sort of Ghibli whimsiness that we come to expect from some of the films coming later on in this list. From Up on Poppy Hill is the highest placing of the Goro Miyazaki Ghibli films, and this film is just a forgettable one for me. It does try to do the Ghibli whimsicalness. The whole plot is this group of kids are trying to save their clubhouse from being torn down in preparation for the Tokyo Olympics, but that very much takes a back seat to a romance storyline that I did like where it was going, because it was sort of subverting the expectations, but then it shoehorns in the last 10 minutes, oh, actually, this isn't what we're really thinking, so everything's actually okay, and everything's just going to work out properly. And that's all I remember really from this film, trying to think back to it, is this subplot that I won't spoil, but I liked where it was going, and then it went the complete opposite direction, and it's just a very unmemorable movie for me, which is a shame because there are some good catcher ideas in it. But yeah, From Up on Poppy Hill is by far Goro Miyazaki's best, but is still very much on the lower spectrum of Ghibli movies. Kiki's Delivery Service. Yes, I know, it's probably lower on the list than many of you do expect. Now, as I have stated, a lot of the Ghibli films are top tier movies, and this is definitely one of those. Kiki is a great character. Her relationship with Jihi is fantastic. I do love her innocent outlook on life, where she sees how hard a character would be working just to be underappreciated by someone else. She is a great character, and I love seeing a Kiki cosplayer at Comic-Cons, but it's one of those where it's not something you're immediately wanting to watch again and again and again. It has a great message about taking some time to yourself when you're burnt out and wait for something to ignite that spark of creativity in you, which I think a lot of creatives can really appreciate. But it's one of those where nothing really happens throughout the film. It's a nice, easy watch, but it doesn't push any boundaries in terms of ulterior messages, and it doesn't quite touch me in the way that some other Ghibli films have done during my watch through. Right, big controversy here. Yes, Grave of the Fireflies ranks around mid-table for me. Why? It is heartbreaking. Yes, it is emotionally destroying. But the thing that really knocks Grave of the Fireflies down for me is just how avoidable the ending seems to be. Now, if someone can explain to me why it wasn't avoidable, do feel free, because there is a resource that the character doesn't utilize until it is way too late. Literally, the moment they decide to finally utilize this source that they've been told to do the entire movie, they do exactly the moment it is too late to change the outcome. Now, the film does spoil the ending at the very start, and while it is an emotional ride and will leave you in tears, I couldn't help but be angry and frustrated with the characters involved. That's what really knocks it down for me. It does have some amazing sequences. The scene with the fireflies themselves is probably one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen, and funnily enough, it's actually my highest viewed video on YouTube, so that was a big shock to me when that suddenly started spiking up in views. But the film itself, it's one where only watch it if you're emotionally prepared for devastation. Castle in the Sky, the original Ghibli movie. This film is a hell of a lot of fun. The way it plays with the concept of sky pirates, the lore of the city of Lupita, the actual layout of the city, and the relationship between the two main leads. It is fantastic and is really ahead of its time. The fact this film came out in the mid-80s, yeah, it looked like something that could have came out in the early 2000s easily. It is a gorgeous movie, and Ghibli very much hit the ground running with this one. It only doesn't rank higher because they hadn't quite got to the area of talking about deep underlying messages within their movies. But as a straight up 2-hour fantasy film with romance, comedy, action, and threat, it does a very good job. And I would say this is probably the most Don Bluethy of the Ghibli movies. Pom Poko could easily be remembered as the one with the raccoons that have tits and balls, yes. But it is a fantastic movie that really flexes the animation of Ghibli's artists. They are showing off constantly throughout this film. The whole message is humanity driving out nature and deforesting everything to build up. It has a great message to it, and it's great to see these shape-shifting raccoons go through this experience. Like I said in my review, it's a film that has a point where it feels like it should be ending or in its final act, but it goes on for about 30 to 40 minutes longer, and it just really does overstay its welcome. It gives me very much Watership Down vibes without the gore and the murder, but it has them same themes around it. And whilst I did enjoy the bittersweetness of the finale, it just really overstays its welcome and gets quite boring to watch at times, which is a shame because there is some of the best animation in Ghibli featured within this. Princess Mononoke is a commentary of humanity's drive to destroy nature and how guns and deforestation and factories are ruining the nature around us, and Mononoke is a protector of them woods. But my problem with this is that despite her being the titular character, Princess Mononoke is actually a very lackluster character. It feels like she's getting saved by the lead character a lot of the time, and this is literally a badass warrior princess that rides wolves and will literally suck the blood out of a wound and spit it out. Like, she comes across as badass, then she does stupid things that causes things to spiral out of control, and she's just a bit of a damsel in distress from my first viewing. While it has a lot of great messages, it doesn't do it for me. Our lead protagonist is as bland as they come, and no one gets comeuppance for this. They all just decide, yep, I was wrong, let's just move on. And I get it, people can change, and I suppose this film does a great job of saying, look, everyone can change no matter how dark their past might have been, but still, the way things sort of get wrapped up in a rush in the last 3 or 4 minutes, it's kind of something that drags us down for me. So while a lot of people consider this top tier Ghibli and some consider this the best Ghibli film, for me, it didn't quite hit that standard. Coming into the top 10 now, we have Howl's Moving Castle. Now, what can I say about Howl's Moving Castle? For one, Sophie is an absolute fantastic protagonist. The Moving Castle is a marvel of pure animation. I love the way they utilized magic within this world, and I love the maturity and empowerment that Sophie brings to this tale. I will say though, I didn't really buy the romance. I didn't buy that a certain antagonist that is set up early on doesn't really end up staying as an antagonist. Things get a bit jumbled and confusing in the final act. It's a very fun and colourful movie, and I would definitely recommend watching this. If you want to watch a Ghibli film, this is one of the first ones I would 100% recommend, but it just gets a bit convoluted towards the end for myself, and that's why it doesn't rank as highly as some of the others, but it is definitely a fantastic film you should check out. Coming in at number 9 is My Neighbor Totoro, the big guy himself. This is just a cute movie. It is very simple about two young girls finding this spirit of the woods in the area called Totoro. The umbrella scene is iconic. The relationship between the two sisters is by far the thing that holds this film up the strongest. It gives some great sequences. I absolutely love the cat bus that features in this. I really wish cat buses could exist. That would be absolutely fantastic. But yeah, this is a simple story that doesn't try to be anything more than what it is, and it keeps things very localized, predominantly between two locations, and it's just an adorable film that loves to show off how great nature can be and just shows that childish whimsy and some very good parents that are very supportive of what these girls see, because they probably assume that these are things they're not really seeing. But I digress. My Neighbor Totoro, give it a watch. It'll bring a smile to your face. Just give it a watch. Only Yesterday follows a woman who goes to the country to spend a summer there, and half the film is spent reminiscing about her childhood and her past and the regrets of past. And as someone that has now grown up and has had a lot of lockdown to think of things in the past, it was a very touching movie. I love the way they used colour to show us what's present, what's past. Whenever it was in the past, the palette would be very watercoloured. There'll be features that are out of focus, and only the things that are within predominantly the main aspect of the memory are the focused elements with more details applied to them, just like any memory would be. You can think of your favourite night ever at a concert, but you won't remember all the faces, but you will remember what the artist on the stage was doing at that time. It's just a very clever way they played with the animation within this. It's a very simple story, but it is quite a heartwarming story, and it's just a lot of fun to watch. It's a nice film to watch if you're wanting to reflect. Next up is The Wind Rises, which in my opinion is the best romance in the Ghibli films. This follows a real life individual that created the Zero plane that was used in World War II, and it also has a fantastic romance that builds up naturally. It is devastating how this film plays out. I think I tweeted out saying, "Cheers, Hayao, I didn't need my heart anyway," but it's just a fantastic, gorgeous film to watch. It really makes you appreciate just how marvellous planes are when you think that not even a couple hundred years ago, planes weren't even a thing, and now we take these big flying machines for granted that we hop on all the time to go to our sunny beach holidays. This just is a love letter to engineering in general, and it has a great story going along with it. I think it is definitely one of Hayao's best, and it was going to be a swan song, and if it was a swan song, he would have gone out on a bang, but he has been confirmed to come back to helm the next Ghibli film, so I am very much looking forward to seeing that. Coming in at number 6 was When Marnie Was There. Now, this film is something else. This film has a powerful theme running through it. It deals with social anxiety. It deals with self-hatred. It deals with loathing and bitterness. It deals with a lot of grief stages, and just the outbursts that our main character has is brilliant. I love the relationship between our two leads within this, and while the mystery can get a bit too jarring and confusing at times, when everything is answered for you in the final act honestly, it will hit you like a freight train. It is absolutely brilliant and is easily up there with my best Ghibli films. Number 5 is The Secret World of Arrietty. This is a borrower's tale, and the reason it's so high on this list, despite its simple concept and basically following a similar plot to the borrower's film from the mid-90s, it's the fact that this film is not only clear and crisp, it also has a great way it plays with lighting. Usually when you see lighting move in a dark room in a lot of animated films, especially the 2D animated ones, it sort of goes frame, 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 frame. This one is like a smooth, dynamic lighting. I just really have to appreciate how this film utilizes scale, how it utilizes lighting, and the relationship between Arrietty and the boy in the house is brilliant. Studio Ghibli does a great job at building relationships between characters, and while it's not explicitly a romance angle, it does do a great job of just having this strong bond of friendship, and it has quite the bittersweet finale. And those of you that know me know I'm a big sucker for bittersweet finales. Number 4 is The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Now, this was the last film directed by Isao Takahata, and wow, this guy did an amazing job with this. It's got a very simple art style that utilizes colors rather than detail, and the way it plays with themes of femininity and social standing is outstanding. The princess is easily one of my favorite protagonists in film. It gives some very heart-pounding moments. I love the way that the lead character just simply dissects. There's a great scene where she basically just dissects a number of individuals that is very well played out, and it has a lot of different character motivations in this. There are a couple of characters that can be frustrating, but you know their heart is in the right place at the end of it all. This is one I would definitely recommend. While the art style might take a little bit to get used to, just look at the way they play with colour in this one, how they will make things more bright and bold in the busy, noble city, yet in the simple country, the colours will be a bit more washed out, a bit more calming, a bit more relaxing. This is animation 101, is a staple for why 2D animation should never die, and I hope Ghibli do stay and go back to the 2D animation once we get the next film. So we are into the top 3 now, and yes, this is the one that a lot of people probably expected to be number 1, which is Spirited Away. This is the big one. This is the one that most people shout out when you ask what is the best Ghibli film, and quite frankly, I can't argue with that. This film is an absolute masterpiece in terms of character design, the layout, the way each area is designed, where we have like these high class full of jewels areas to some very basic backgrounds singling a divide between the different classes in this area. You get some amazing iconic characters like No Face, who are very simply designed, and it's just a gorgeous film to watch from start to finish. I can't sing this film's praises enough. The fact this film is about 2.5 hours long, I think, and by the time it got to the end, I honestly felt like I could have watched another half hour of it, because there's a point where you feel like a third act starting, but we're actually just in the last 10 minutes. They could have easily extended that element of the film for the next half hour, and I would not have been mad. This film is just a joy to watch. Has a great cast of characters. The lead protagonist is brilliant. Just watch Spirited Away if you haven't. It is well worth your time. Ponyo is number 2. Now, one of the main reasons this is the number 2 on the list is the fact that this has probably one of the best animated sequences I have ever seen in animation, period. It involves a lot of water animation, and Jesus Christ, how long must it have taken them to animate that scene? It is fantastic. Ponyo is a literal fish out of water in this fish out of water story, and she is just so adorable. It's a story that's told through the perspective of 5-year-olds, so the main focus is on their friendship, and it basically half ignores the fact that there is an end of the world plot going off, which I think is very, very clever. The fact that the world could end and these 5-year-olds are completely oblivious to it because we're seeing the whole thing from their eyes. It is very well done, has some fantastic animation. Get yourself a mother who's as supportive as the little boy's mother in this, because she is fantastic. Ponyo is just something that will bring a big smile to your face. Definitely check it out if you have never done so. And I suppose y'all are wondering, how the hell is Whisper of the Heart my #1 Ghibli film? Quite frankly, I just love all the themes it deals with. I came into this one thinking it would be middling. I read the concept. It's basically a girl realizes this boy keeps checking out the same book as her right before her in the library all the time. So she has this big fantasy of who he might be in her head, and it's given away quite early on who this character would be. I didn't feel like it was going to go much deeper than that. But Whisper of the Heart. For one thing, the support between these two lead characters and the romance they have is so real and so genuine. They are so supportive of each other. Even when one has to go far away to chase their dream, not one of them stands in the way of the other. They are constantly supporting each other. The way they adapt country roads in this as well is beautiful. That's a big subplot in this, is the lead characters basically transcribing country roads into Japanese, so like it would still work with a rhythm, but with Japanese words over it. It leads to arguably one of my favourite scenes in the history of cinema, where they just sing just for the sake of singing. It's just like a little moment that is just so good to watch. I absolutely adore that scene, and there's a great message in this about pushing yourself and chasing your dreams and challenging yourself constantly. The way they deal with our lead character's anxiety when it comes to putting her work out there, because it is terrifying to put yourself out there, and she basically fully encompasses that. There's a great analogy with this rock where, yeah, this rock looks terrible, but you look inside, it's full of gems and it's actually quite beautiful. Everyone's that rock, and you're gonna have bumps and bruises along the way. You just gotta sand it down. It's, oh god, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Yeah, this film is just way more than what the description suggests, and a lot of people probably put this like mid-tier on their Ghibli list, but for me it's just, it touches me there, which is what I want for my movies, is a film that will touch me in the right places. Whisper of the Heart is just a fantastic, simple movie that has a lot of messages that I can just really relate to and connect with, and that is why Whisper of the Heart for me is my #1 Ghibli movie. So there you have it, every Studio Ghibli movie ranked. If you have made it to the end of this video, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know is there anything you want me to cover next. It has been quite a journey, and I can't wait to see what Ghibli does next, assuming it is a step up from Earwig and the Witch. Let me know what your ranking is, or at least your top 5 in the comments below. I would love to see them. Let me know, are there any on the lower end that I have not given enough credit to? Are there any higher up that I am giving too much credit? Let's have a nice discussion in the comments below. But until next time, everybody, my name is Josh, I have been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you in the next video.